I don't think there's anything wrong with the analytical mind. I really love my analytical mind. I think you do too, because what the analytical mind is for is to weigh knowns against unknowns.
Strategizing.
Yeah, to kind of just go, okay, I know this, I want this. How am I going to go from wanting this to having this, right? And the analytical mind tries
possibilities.
Tries to figure things out, and I think it's good. It helps us to navigate in our world, right?
When does the analytical mind get in our way?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when you get stressed out, when you get anxious, when you get fearful, when you get angry, when you get agitated, when you get frustrated, when you feel pain, suffering, guilt, those kind of limited emotions start to drive the analytical mind to overanalyze and to overthink. And what we've discovered by looking at enough brains in action in real time, that when we analyze our life within some disturbing emotion, we make our brains worse. Because the emotion is a record of the past. So you're thinking in the past, you're thinking in the box, there's no solution there. So every time you start thinking over analyzing, you're producing the chemistry to arouse your brain and body even more, and now you're in a loop, right? And that's kind of ruminating, or whatever you want to call that, obsessing, over-focusing. We tend to narrow our focus on something. Like when we're under stress, it's really important to put all of your attention on the cause, right? Because you got to be able to deal with it. But a lot of times those causes are fictitious, right? And so now we're over-focusing our attention on something, and the act of over-focusing our attention drives our brain further out of balance, right? We start revving it up into more aroused states. The answer will never be there because that person's thinking in the known. They're thinking in the box. If they say, okay, for the next 5 days, I'm just going to follow the instructions, I'm just going to change. And they stop, our data shows that you can shut this thing off. We know how to do it so well. You can do it so well that you can do it with your eyes open. If I said to you, you got to do a speech, and it's got to be done without any notes. You got about 45 minutes to prepare. Your brain would kind of perk up a little bit, and it would be kind of a good stress. You'd have to perform. You're confident. You'd have to get ready. You'd have to change your state. You'd have to think. You'd have to, all right, what do I want to talk about? I got to change my state. You would move into mid-range beta. Light bulb gets a little brighter, and you're a little bit more ready, in a sense. But when you react and you're emotional and you're stressed and you're out of balance, you go into this very high beta brainwave pattern, and that's 3 times as high as low-level beta. That's when the brain is in first gear on the freeway. It is you consuming all of its energy, and it's sweeping the environment, and it's shifting its attention from one person to another problem, to another thing, to another place. It's trying to forecast, it's trying to predict, and the brain starts firing very, very disintegratedly. It's firing incoherently, out of order. And people they need a drug, or they need a drink, or they need something to take away that kind of state. And their thoughts are literally driving the brain into higher and higher states of beta. Their addiction to those thoughts are driving the brain out of balance. Okay, so when you're in that state, you're very narrow focused. You're obsessing on things. That's what the brain does. It overthinks. It overanalyzes. So if you can change your brain waves from beta to alpha, now your inner world starts becoming more real than your outer world. And in a sense, you become more creative. Your brain stops talking to you in your head. You stop analyzing. You start seeing in images. You start seeing in pictures. And alpha is an imaginary, very creative state. You're still aware of your outer environment, but not so much.
Well, this isn't foreign to any of us. Let's talk about incoherence. When you're in that high beta state and you can't predict or control anything in your life, you have the perception that things are going to get really bad, and you switch on that system. What you want to do now is control and predict everything in your life, because you know you're getting ready for the worst thing that could possibly happen. So as you begin to think about every person, every object, every meeting, every place, it's all mapped in your brain, and you're shifting your attention to all of these elements, the brain starts to fire out of order because of your attention shifting so quickly, because every person, every object, everything has a neurological network in your brain. Keep that up in high beta, the brain starts to compartmentalize. It's a house divided against itself, and when the brain's incoherent, we're incoherent. When the brain isn't working right, we're not working right. And that default state actually is an unhealthy state for the brain to function in. So people become reliant on whatever it is that makes the the discord go away. They try to make the feeling go away by gaming or
Smoking pot.
whatever it is they need to do to settle down that high beta state. Okay, well, you're on the Zoom meeting, right? And you got the gas pedal on, you're judging that person on the Zoom call, you want to reach across the screen and throttle them, but you're smiling and you're stepping on the brake. So your heart is racing because it's pumping blood. It's what it does when it's under sympathetic dominance. But you're not running and you're not fighting, you're not hiding. So the heart is actually beating against the closed system. You keep that up, the heart starts beating very incoherently. And when incoherent waves interfere, you lose energy. So you lose energy in the heart and you lose energy in the brain. And so then we just become automatic. That's the default, right? That's 95% of who we are. So our data shows over and over again that you can make your brain more coherent. What does that mean? When you're sensing nothing, when you're sensing space, the act of sensing causes you to stop thinking and analyzing. And if you're sensing and you're feeling, you're experiencing, you're noticing, and you're doing that, you're not analyzing and your brainwaves naturally change from beta to alpha. But
It feels so good.
When you drop down to that level, if you stay at it, there comes this moment where those different compartments of the brain that were once firing out of order, out of rhythm, all of a sudden starts beating in cadence, and they start to synchronize. The front of the brain starts talking to the back of the brain. These networks over here start oscillating with these networks, and all of a sudden you see recruiting of more communities of neurons firing in the same rhythm. And all of a sudden, when the whole brain is firing the same rhythm, that's called coherence, and that's a very strong signal to the brain that causes a very strong signal to the body that everything's moving back to regulation. Well, you do this when you go to sleep. What do you do when you go to sleep? You just kind of lay there and then you stop thinking. And that you think of nothing. And when you think of nothing, you actually fall asleep.
And you restore.
and if you can't stop thinking, you actually can't go to sleep. So you can't slow your brainwaves down because you stay in that kind of analytical state. And our data shows that when you're in that analytical state and you're aroused by some emotion, you will actually make your brain worse because the analysis is actually making the chemicals for you to get more aroused, and you drive yourself further into these higher states because you're over-focused. So we said, okay, let's have people do the exact opposite. Let's have them focus on nothing, because that's what you do when you go to sleep. We'll just go from that narrow focus to kind of a broadened focus and just sense nothing, sense space, right? And the act of doing that actually slowed the brain waves down into mid-range beta, low-level beta, and then all of a sudden into alpha. Now, once you cross from beta to alpha, you go from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind. Now, what separates the conscious mind from the subconscious mind is actually the analytical mind. So when you're analyzing and thinking, you're in this beta brainwave pattern, you close your eyes and you start relaxing, your inner world starts becoming more real than your outer world, and your brain stops talking to you like the chatter in your head. And so that analysis tends to suppress, and you start to see more in images and pictures. You get creative. That's alpha.
Yeah, you're like in a VR world.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking about dreaming and going to sleep, I've heard you discuss the importance of just before bed and just after waking as an opportunity to investigate what's going on in the unconscious mind. Why are those windows so important?
It's really related to serotonin and melatonin, because when you are sleeping and you wake up, your brain waves go from delta to theta to alpha to beta, and you wake up in the morning and then you're conscious and you're awake and you're back in three-dimensional reality. When you go to bed at night and there's less light, your brain starts making melatonin, you go from beta to alpha to theta to delta. And so when you move from beta to alpha, you stop your analytical mind, and when you suppress your analytical mind, you stop thinking. And when you stop thinking, your brain moves into alpha. So when you go to bed at night, what do? You kind of get in bed, you get comfortable, and you think of nothing. You stop thinking, and you go to sleep, and you kind of slide down the scale. And if you can't stop thinking, you can't go to sleep because your brainwaves stay.
Everyone knows that very well.
And you obsess and you overthink and you're in a loop, right? So there's two times the door to the subconscious mind opens up: when you wake up in the morning and when you go to bed at night. So those are really key times if you want to reprogram your subconscious minds. People, when they analyze themselves or analyze their life within some disturbing emotion, when we looked at the real-time brain scans, we saw that they were actually making their brain worse. We're driving their brain further out of balance. overthinking, overanalyzing. And so when you analyze something within an emotion is a record of the past. So you're thinking in the past, the solution could never be there. Free the person from that emotion, and of course they see it from a greater level of consciousness.
For all those people listening right now that are like me, that try and fix, because through what they think of as love, maybe I'm doing it for other reasons, but what could they do to be a better ally or friend or partner to that individual? Based on everything you've said, that maybe they need their own moment, or their emotional system isn't in regulation with their information.
God, anytime we want to do anybody a great service is to help them out of their emotional state. I mean, it's not a lecture that's going to help them. Come on, let's go do something. Come on, let's go. Just get them doing something, just breaking themselves out of that state. It's not like the answer. It's they have to change their state to get the answer. So if I were to do anything, I would want to help them shorten their emotional reaction, to get beyond the emotion, whatever that is. And I wouldn't be a lecture. It would be something fun that we did, or something unusual that we did, or just trying something. Let's just do something. And I think showing people what love looks like, show them what joy looks like, show them what happiness looks like. I think people notice that. I think they pay attention to that. It gives them permission to do the same. So maybe just show up as the person you would want to be around if you were feeling that way.